It is late. It is, close to midnight, and we are talking about what was just a massive victory for the Arkansas Razorbacks, getting their season back on track. Hawgs beat Duke 80-75, number 7 Duke coming in this. And it was also in the ACC SEC Challenge. Arkansas came away and pulled off a tie for the conference. Caleb, I wanted to ask you before, get my voice back for what was a very wild night in Bud Walton. Your thoughts on the game, because that was a fun one. That was a fun one in Bud.
Yeah, for sure. I got to ask, David, how's your hearing after that game, though? With the loudness of Bud Walton.
It was already bad from my time in the Army. I don't know if I can hear out of this ear right now. Like it was crazy. I also had Duke fans on my row right next to me. Like I had a group of 4 Duke fans who were next to me the entire game. And I think they got really tired of me making Christian Laettner jokes the entire time I was there. In case people like on your channels, since we're posting this to both our channels, this is our first Hoops on the Road, which not really on the road since I live in Fayetteville, but like we had this game circled for our November one. I am a certified Duke hater. And so tonight I definitely enjoyed that. And I enjoyed them getting mad every time they didn't get a call at the rim or something like that. So it was a fun one for me tonight. So it was a crazy atmosphere, truly crazy. Probably the best one I've been to since the Auburn game, when Auburn was number 1 and came into Bud Walton. I can't remember an atmosphere that intense. And I was pretty high
maybe
Kentucky. Maybe Kentucky. Yeah, Kentucky would probably be the next closest one. The Cal-Tech comes to mind in that game. This was that level of atmosphere. This was what Bud Walton, when people talk about the classic games at Bud Walton, this was around that. All we were missing really was probably the Auburn game from like 99 or 2000, whenever that one was, where Auburn was number 2 and Arkansas was slamming the ball on them every time they had the ball. That's the only time I think Bud Walton's been crazier than than these types of games. It was on that tier tonight. It was the next tier down from pure insanity.
Yeah. But like you asked, when you get down to this game, this was a fantastic bounce back game for this team, especially after, the Bahamas not going the way you want, having struggles out there. You getting back. I'm sure there probably was a day or two of weighted vest and brick practices in this week, getting ready for this game in between, kind of get these guys' mind back on track. But to see this team come out and do this and other guys step up with the absence of Jamal Mark was big, because with us to be able to do this against a team of this caliber without him, and then to just whenever he's healthy and get him back in the fold is big. I think something that really stood out to me, and I think we took notes from the Purdue exhibition game, is the defensive approach for Filipowski. He was limited to 3 points in that first half. We also helped get him in foul trouble, so that helped as well. But, fantastic game planning from us in this game, and just overall great play by these guys.
Yeah, Filipowski got himself some foul trouble early in this game, but it was I really think Duke understood in the situation that they needed to get him back out there, because he put him back on the floor with 2 fouls, with plenty of time to pick up his third in the first half. So Arkansas was doing a really good job limiting the front court the best they could. You sent me a analytics stat a little while ago on Mekhi Mitchell, who for the first time this season, Mekhi Mitchell had his best game of the season tonight, in my opinion. Like I'd had frustrations on the defensive end with Mekhi coming in the last couple of games, and tonight he played much better. And he took his role very seriously tonight for the Hawgs, and that was a big reason of it. Lawson, attacking with athleticism for also the same way that you approached Edie in that Purdue exhibition game, that worked out well tonight. You did the best you could. You weren't going to shut him down, but you limited him the best you absolutely could. Filipowski still had 26 points. But, coming out of that first half, he was definitely limited. He was limited to 32 minutes tonight, and he had a hard time. He was under 50% from the floor, and that's tough when you're a center who needs to be scoring around 52% around the bucket. And so it was a tough night for Filipowski, even though he still racked up 26 points in this game. A lot of it coming from the free throw line tonight. Another thing that I definitely want to talk about is I had Duke picked into this game. You remember this week talking on my show, other than also me saying, I really hope I'm wrong. And I'm very glad right now that I'm wrong. But the other thing we were talking about what was wrong with Arkansas and why they were having so many issues. And the thing I pointed out was the assist to turnover ratio was just completely out of whack. And tonight, Arkansas did what they did in their wins they've been having so far, 17 assists. And they had 12 turnovers tonight, but for a long time this game, they were behind Duke in the the turnovers didn't start ramping up until Duke put that full court press on late in the game to try to turn over, which is something that Arkansas definitely needs to address. But overall, for an extended portion of the game, you limited your turnovers, and then you had 17 assists tonight. And I think a big reason that happened was because Ellis tonight, having him as your number one and letting him play the true point guard position, racked up 6 assists for you. And that was not just the Arkansas leader, but the game leader and assist for the entire ball game. I thought Ellis had a pretty good game, minus a couple of questionable shot selections coming down the stretch. But overall, a really good game for Ellis and picking those assists back up. Did you kind of see the difference immediately on offense once you noticed that they're sharing the ball a little bit better tonight?
Yeah, I thought so. I really thought we got back to more of that game plan and approach style of play when we played Purdue. We shared the ball. You're getting the ball around the court, inside out. All that ball movement, getting guys out of position. Really benefited the Hawks tonight. Whether that was finding, like you said, Chandler Lawson inside on a quick cut, or bouncing out to Brazil, or LS or Battle out on the wing for a jumper. It was just a fantastic ball movement game for these guys. And I think that's really what you saw was the problem in the Bahamas was they were trying to play more ISO ball. One guy was trying to do everything instead of share the rock with the talent that is made up on this roster.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw perfect example here. The 3-point percentage was something I pointed out. It's finding that wide open man. Trevin Brazil found himself open quite a bit tonight. He hit, what was it? I'm looking it up real fast.
4-7.
4-7. Thank you. My eyes immediately went to Battles instead of Brazil when I was looking at the sheet. But you saw him get wide open and he hit some daggers tonight. And like I said, I had these Duke fans next to me and they were completely in surrender cobra when Brazil hit that 1-3 late in the basketball game, sunk it. He was completely wide open. And that was looking again for who you need to find on the floor. So I was definitely impressed with Trevin Brazil. I think he had one of his better games so far this season. I was very pleased with what I saw from him. 4 3-point baskets made. And then Khalif Battle stepped up quite a bit. 21 points coming off the bench. Right now, Khalif Battle to me is making a case to be he's in the argument for 6th man of the year right now for Arkansas because he keeps doing this.
100%.
Yeah, coming off the bench, 21 points tonight, 3-point field goals made. He had 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and he played well. 31 minutes for him coming off the bench tonight. It's a luxury for Arkansas to have him coming off the bench. And when you get Tremont Mark back for the Razorbacks, he should help quite a bit too. Coming down the stretch with the free throw percentage because he's a little bit better free throw shooter. He plays a little bit better in those ISO situations late in game. So having that when you get Mark back between Battle, Mark, and Ellis, I think you got a very well-rounded front court to take over a lot of basketball games. They just got to continue to share the basketball.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, just off the top of my head, that's the third 20-plus point game that Battles had off the bench just from thinking about this early season that we've had. And like you said, once you get Tremont Mark back, that's going to be another key guy late in the game situations like we saw tonight where you're going to inbound the ball and most likely you're going to get some type of foul. Between him and Battle, those are the 2 guys you're going to want to get this ball into. And you made up the point, fantastic win and everything, but it shows that there's going to be continuous improvement for this team. We found something tonight, that full court press late in the game situation is something that we need to work on. But, still happy and fantastic to come out with a win in a game that meant a lot to Arkansas fans, not only just because of the notoriety of the game, but just because of the history between these 2 programs. I saw the stats tonight that, I couldn't have circled a better game from Coach Must to get his 100th win as an Arkansas coach. And not only that, somebody shared it across Twitter X that this was actually Bud Walton's birthday. It was open November 29th, 1993. So it seems like everything just came together for this matchup tonight against the Duke Blue Devils.
It's a lot of pieces falling into place. I was unaware of some of that as well. I knew that it was tonight was Muss's 100th win. I did not realize it was the birthday of Bud Walton Arena, which is just nuts. My ignorance there, which is kind of ironic because in whiteout games, one of the things I do as a Razorback fan is I wear my grandfather's Remember the Barn t-shirt, which is the shirt that they have when they close down Barnhill Arena. So like, yeah, it was just a unique experience tonight. It was super fun. Yeah, a lot of pieces come into place. And I also believe now, I may be mistaken, but coming into this, Arkansas and Duke were tied in their all-time series 2-2. And now Arkansas leads the all-time series against the Duke Blue Devils. It's an amazing accomplishment for Arkansas coming to this point. I want to get back to the basketball game just a little bit. You were at home, so you may have had like a little bit better view than me, than the people who were standing up in front of me. But how did you feel about the defensive end tonight? Because overall, I felt like there wasn't a ton of steals, but I felt like there was enough pressure to cause issue for Duke. What was your takeaways on the defense tonight?
Yeah, I definitely think that this team really turned around and had a great defensive performance. Yeah, you had a few guys that you left them open, but you heard Muss after the game talking to a reporter said one of their game plans was leaving one of the guys open because he has not been shooting the ball well this season. So leave him open, make him make those threes, and double team Filipowski, whatever that game plan was. But I think overall, you've got to be happy with how the defense was played tonight. Yeah, there were some mistakes, but you're going to have those every game. No team's going to come out and be perfect defensively for all 40 minutes of a game. So I'm happy with the improvements I've seen from just the turnaround that Muss has had this team do since the Bahamas. I think much improved in just a span of less than a week.
Yeah, you breaking down that film clearly did something for the Razorbacks this week. Definitely showed a lot of the issues that Arkansas was having. And speaking of that film, one of the players that he pointed out in his press conference, in his preview, Muss was talking about Layden Blocker. He was like, he's out there playing with energy. He's out there playing great. The problem is his transition defense. And tonight, I felt like Blocker didn't get burned as much. There's still improvement that needs to be done on the transmission or in the transition defense, but I felt like he played pretty well tonight, and stopped a few runs from happening. Played a lot of energy in the game. Grabbed 9 points tonight, limited his fouls, got an assist in. I saw a lot more ball movement from Layden Blocker, which is one of the things that I discussed this offseason in my freshman 15 series, is that he can get a little straight line in his decision-making as a point guard. Well, tonight he was going left, right, anything that he could do to open the situation up. We saw a little bit of development tonight in Layden Blocker's game. I feel like he's continuing to come along. What were your takeaways from Layden Blocker?
Yeah, definitely. I think ever since he got that maximized role or increased role in the Bahamas when he had to come in and play some crucial minutes, he's really taken hold of that opportunity and said, hey, I've got my chance here and I'm going to continue to improve myself so I can keep getting my time on the court. And he's a guy that if he keeps improving the way he has and throughout the rest of the season, it would not be surprising at all to by the time we get to tournament time that he is playing significant minutes for this Arkansas basketball team.
Yeah, no, he reminds me a lot of Debo Davis's freshman year right now. A lot of great defense, can do some things well in the offensive end, but there's clearly a little bit of improvement left. I do think that Layden Blocker's ceiling's a little bit higher than Devo. And that's no disrespect to Devo, because I think Devo is going to have an opportunity to play in the NBA when it's all said and done. But for Layden Blocker, he's a tremendous talent. And I continue to believe that he is going to be, as his minutes increase, we will see him as one of the best defensive freshmen in this class coming to the SEC. Right now, him, Reed Shepherd sticks out in my head as a group of freshmen who are doing really well. I need to break down more numbers to see exactly where my thoughts are at. But every time I see Layden Blocker out there, I see effort from him on the defensive end. And he plays an extremely fast pace, and he's hard to deal with if you're another guard.
Well, if you're talking about numbers there, if you look at, we were talking about that chart I sent you earlier, he's number 2 up there behind Mekhi Mitchell on impact for this team at a +6. So whenever he was on the court, he was having impact in very positive ways for this Arkansas team. And I think you can't ask more from a freshman, especially asking him to come in a big-time game of this, magnitude, with it being a ranked team coming into your arena, a storied matchup, so much behind it, and you just coming in and playing your game and helping your team get this victory.
Absolutely. No, 100% with you. And that's also, I was looking at Evan Maya before this game, coming out of the Bahamas, trying to see exactly what was going on with Arkansas. And Leighton Blocker, despite all the effort and energy he was playing with, the box score wasn't saying the same thing. And which is why Muss broke the tape down, I'm guessing. And, for several of these players to understand the full situation, because he was -8 on Evan Maya. So now you got to see that his game is continuing to improve. So, like I said, I felt like he had a great night. I think Leighton Blocker probably played his best game of the season so far. For Arkansas, like I don't feel like this is the pinnacle for Arkansas this season. Like there, as we discussed, where we've kind of hinted at, there are things they clearly need to improve. But there's a long season, and you just got through probably your toughest game of the non-conference schedule, and you got a massive W, because we were talking about it. Arkansas needed a W. It wasn't a must win tonight. It was a really need to win, because you needed a resume point. And you come out of the month of November now with a quad 1 win, what I believe is going to be a quad 1 win, unless Duke completely falls apart. This should be a quad 1 win for the Razorbacks. So where do you think they take that momentum from now? And where do you think the Hawgs are headed coming into this next stretch through December, which you're probably your best opponent right now on your next couple of games? You got Furman, who's pretty good. That's a game that you definitely don't want to have a hangover game from this one from. Furman's a good team. And then Oklahoma, who's actually in the AP top 25, to my surprise right now. How do you see Arkansas going forward into the month of December?
Yeah, I think for me, you got to really build off the momentum of this game. Continue to doing these positive things that we can do whenever the ball is shared. And just like you said, I'm circling the Oklahoma game as a very important game in December that, you want to go into Tulsa and win that game. Like you said, they're an AP top 25 coming in at 25 right now. And we've still got a week and a half till that game. So it could be, they could be higher in the poll. This game could possibly get us back in that top end of the AP. Who knows? But I'm looking at the rest of the schedule and seeing Oklahoma being one of the tougher tests. Like you said, Furman's in there. They're going to be one of those.
They're going to be at Feist. That's UNC Greensboro material all over again. That's a tough team. Yeah.
And so I think if you can finish out December, win all your games in December as you get ready to go into conference play in January, as you open up with Auburn, I think you're positioning yourself really good to go into conference play with hopefully a decent amount of momentum and can really play to what was expected in conference play, being picked up towards the top of the conference this season.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. You've got a ton of momentum now. You've got this team playing in a good direction. You got Tremont Mark, who should, fingers crossed, be back at some point this season. And that's another great defensive player and someone who plays well in isolation basketball, who can take over games late. So it's a good situation you found yourself in tonight in a really need to win game. So I think if you're a Razorback fan this evening, you're feeling pumped, you're feeling happy, you're feeling good. Yeah, I don't think there's much more to say, but like you said, the pieces kind of fell into place tonight. Crowd was chanting Bobby, which I was kind of surprised they didn't walk Bobby Petrino out on the court at some point. But it was a wild night in Bud Walton. And I think, once again, this is, I will say it 100 times more, the best, if not one of the best in the SEC in college basketball, one of the best environments. It's a crazy place to be. It's pure insanity at times, and it's a great environment. And it showed once again.
Yeah, 100%. I saw somebody had a quote from John Shire after the game. He said, not 100% on what the quote was, but it was to the point of, if you don't think this is one of the toughest and hardest places to play in the country, then you haven't clearly been to Bud Walton before. And even, Coach Muss's wife said in the 5 years they've been here, this is the loudest she's heard Bud Walton in their time here. So, that's telling you something. When the fans in Arkansas get up and get excited about a game, you come into an environment, it's really going to affect you more than, you can't really game plan for that. And I think that's, like you said, what makes Bud Walton such a special place, not only in Arkansas, but also in the world of college basketball.
Yeah, it's one of the best environments in the country. It really is. It's a unique place. You don't expect to go in there and win. And, you know, I was joking with my buddy tonight. I was talking about Cameron Indoor, and no disrespect to Cameron Indoor, but, you know, tonight there were 11,000 more people in that stadium, and that fits Cameron Indoor tonight. So it was a different environment for Duke fans to come, the ones who made the trek from Durham over here to Fayetteville. It was a different world they got to experience, but it was fun tonight. I had a blast. Caleb, any final thoughts on this basketball game?
Yeah, just I think just talking about, you know, the magnitude of, you know, when Arkansas fans get up, another stat you can look at is tonight's crowd attendance was number one in Bud Walton history for most attendance to a game. I believe it was like 20,334. And that's just incredible. And that just testifies to how much this Arkansas program means to Arkansas fans, and fantastic big win for Arkansas tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? I'm going to hit one more thing. I thought it was really special. I had Scotty Thurman on my show this week. I saw him on the Jumbotron tonight. I also saw Coach Nolan Richardson on the Jumbotron tonight, and celebrating him and the 30th anniversary of the national championship. It was special tonight, and you could tell this was a unique one. And like I said, Arkansas tonight also pulling off the tie for the inaugural ACC SEC Challenge. Great night of basketball. A lot of fun. Yeah, I'm impressed. I had fun. I said I needed to see it from this team tonight. I saw something, and so I think a lot of the things we talked about in the preseason, we finally saw some of it. So I'm feeling good. Caleb, for the folks who are watching on my channel, why don't you go ahead and tell them where they can find you at?
Yeah, you can check us out at Whoop Big Weekly. You know, Google that. You'll find us on YouTube, Twitter, X, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you can find your podcast. You know, Whoop Big Weekly, Instagram as well. So go check us out. We just put out a fantastic emergency episode just yesterday, capturing the Bobby Petrino hiring, where we sat down with former Razorback wide receiver Javante Herndon and breaking down what this hire means for this Arkansas football team and this fan base and this organization.
I will say Bobby didn't come here to paint, so it's going to be a lot of that. I saw it this morning when I was checking my TV, and I was shocked about the reaction that you had. I knew that was going to be a big episode for you when you got it done, and yeah, you could feel the energy. It was like that once the announcement was made that Bobby Petrino was going to be the new offensive coordinator at Arkansas. The entire attitude around the state of Arkansas changed in an instant in the world. For the people who are watching on Caleb's channel, minus my voice, I normally don't sound like this. So you might guess that I am a Razorback fan. But I will say that I do host an SEC show on my channel. You can find us at Hoops Southbound pretty much anywhere on social media. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts at. Guys, please like and subscribe to the channel, whichever one you guys are currently watching this on. We're happy you're here. Caleb and I do a lot of work together. We became friends through what was our first podcast group, and we still work together today on Variety Sports. So please go check them out as well today. Guys, thank you so much. Once again, Arkansas takes down number 7 Duke 80-75, getting their first win in the ACC SEC Challenge, taking the lead in the all-time series against the Duke Blue Devils, I do believe, and also making sure the SEC doesn't take a W or doesn't take an L in their first ACC SEC Challenge. It's a great night tonight. Guys, stay safe out there. Don't celebrate too hard now.